There are moments in life when the world stops moving, when everything you thought mattered suddenly fades, and you're left with nothing but the sound of your own breathing, wondering what comes next. For many people, that moment comes when illness knocks on the door. A diagnosis, a hospital bed, the quiet hum of machines that keep track of your heartbeat. I know that silence. I've sat in that room, not just as a visitor, but as a patient. And in that stillness, I learned one of the greatest lessons life could ever teach. Strength isn't about how much you can lift, but how deeply you can endure. You see, life has a strange way of reminding us how fragile we really are. One day, you're making plans, chasing dreams, working hard to build something that feels permanent. And the next day, a doctor looks you in the eye and says something that changes everything. In that moment, it feels like time splits in two, the life you had before, and the uncertain one that follows. You start asking questions you've never asked before. Why me? What did I do wrong? Will I ever be okay again? But here's the truth I've come to understand. Strength begins the moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" Because when you focus on what now, you shift from victim to survivor. You stop drowning in questions and start learning how to breathe underwater. When I was lying in that hospital bed, I felt powerless. My body was failing me, and I couldn't control it. But strangely, that's where real power began to grow. I learned that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers in the quiet decision to try again tomorrow. There were days I couldn't move without pain, but I still chose to smile at the nurse who walked in. I still chose to whisper, "Thank you," to the people who stood by me. That's what strength is. Not denying pain, but choosing love in the middle of it. And I realized something profound. Weakness can be a teacher. When your body breaks, your spirit begins to rebuild. Illness strips away the illusions of control and exposes what truly matters. The people who love you, the moments you took for granted, the breath that keeps you alive. We're taught to fight everything, to resist, to win, to conquer. But sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is surrender. Not in defeat, but in acceptance. When I accepted my illness, it didn't mean I gave up. It meant I stopped wasting energy fighting reality. I began to focus on healing instead of hating. And in that acceptance, I found peace. I realized that the body might be weak, but the soul is infinitely strong. There's a kind of calm that comes when you stop trying to control every outcome. When you breathe deeply and say, "I will walk this path, no matter how hard it gets." That's not weakness. That's the purest form of courage. You might be wondering, what good can possibly come from illness? How can something that causes so much pain bring anything positive? But I've learned that suffering, if you let it, can be the soil where wisdom grows. It teaches patience, because recovery doesn't come overnight. It teaches gratitude, because suddenly, a simple glass of water or a good night's sleep feels like a miracle. It teaches empathy, because once you've felt deep pain, you begin to understand others in ways you never could before. And most importantly, it teaches humility. You realize that life doesn't owe you anything. Every sunrise is a gift, every heartbeat a blessing. When you see life through that lens, even suffering becomes sacred, because it awakens something within you that peace never could. During my illness, I had long stretches of silence, hours, even days, where all I could do was think. And that silence became a mirror. It forced me to look at myself honestly. my fears, my regrets, the things I avoided for years. Illness has a way of stripping you bare, showing you what's real. I started realizing how much of my life I had spent worrying about things that didn't matter. Money, approval, pride, image. But when you're lying in a hospital bed, those things lose their power. You start asking deeper questions. Did I love enough? Did I forgive enough? Did I live fully while I could? And maybe that's one of the greatest gifts of illness. It brings you face to face with truth. It teaches you mindfulness. It shows you how precious each breath really is. We spend so much of our lives rushing, chasing after success, attention, validation, until something stops us. Illness does that. It forces you to slow down. At first, that feels like punishment. But slowly, it becomes a blessing. Because in the stillness, you rediscover things you forgot. The sound of rain, the warmth of sunlight, the beauty of being alive. Time becomes sacred. You learn that life isn't about how long you live, but how deeply you live. And in that understanding, fear begins to fade. You stop counting days and start filling moments. Pain changes you, but it doesn't have to define you. The truth is, we don't get to choose what happens to us, but we do get to choose how we respond. Every day, I had a choice: to focus on what I lost or to appreciate what I still had. And I began to see beauty even in brokenness. The smile of a visitor, the quiet strength of the nurses, the courage of other patients fighting their own battles. Those moments reminded me that I wasn't alone. We are all fragile in our own ways, but that fragility connects us. Strength isn't isolation, it's connection. It's love. It's hope. When my body started healing, I realized something important. Healing is not just physical. It's emotional and spiritual. Illness had torn me apart, but it also gave me the chance to rebuild. Wiser, gentler, and more grateful than before. I started journaling every day, not about what I lost, but about what I was learning. I wrote about the lessons hidden in pain, the quiet beauty of each day, the strength that comes from simply showing up. And slowly, I began to understand. Healing begins when you stop seeing yourself as broken. You are not your illness. You are not your scars. You are the courage it takes to keep going despite them. Once you survive something that could have ended you, you see life differently. Every small thing becomes meaningful. A conversation, a smile, a sunrise. And you realize that maybe, just maybe, your pain can serve a purpose. For me, it became a mission. To remind people that no matter what they're going through, they are stronger than they think. Because that's what pain can do. It can refine you. It can make your heart softer and your spirit stronger. And if you can take that pain and use it to help someone else, then it no longer owns you. You've transformed it into purpose. True strength doesn't always look like fighting. Sometimes it looks like peace. It's the calm smile of someone who's learned to live with what they can't change. It's the quiet courage of waking up each morning and saying, "I'm still here, and I'll make today count." That kind of strength doesn't fade. It grows deeper over time. It's the kind that carries others when they lose hope. Because when you've walked through darkness and found light, you become the light for someone else. So if you're watching this right now and you're facing illness, or maybe someone you love is, I want you to remember this. You are not your pain. You are not your diagnosis. You are a soul that cannot be broken. Life may look different now, but it's still beautiful. Don't wait for the storm to pass. Learn to dance in the rain. Find gratitude in the smallest things. Find strength in surrender. Find peace in the present moment. And if this message spoke to your heart, if it reminded you that there's still hope, even in the darkest times, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs it today. Because sometimes a few words of light can change the course of someone's life. Remember, you are stronger than you know, and your story is not over yet. Until next time, take care of yourself. You're worth it.